Hey everyone, welcome back to the Anthropology Journal podcast. Hard to believe this is the last episode. When I started this whole thing, I didn't think I'd end up talking about universities themselves, including the one I go to. But here we are. This week hit differently because it wasn't about some faraway case or some group we only read about. It was about the place we walk through every day, Western, and hearing Eternity Martyrs describe being the token, or watching Sarah Ahmed show how institutions love diversity more than they love change, it honestly felt like someone pulled the curtain on a show we all kind of knew we were watching, but never said out loud. What stuck with me isn't just the specific stories, it's the pattern. Universities want to advertise inclusion, but they also want to protect their reputation at all costs. And once you see that tension, you can't unsee it. You notice it in how schools respond to racist incidents, how they design diversity policies, and even who they call excellent. Diversity is welcomed, as long as it doesn't disrupt anything. And when I look at Western's Eddydale plan through that lens, it's complicated. It's a real attempt to move forward, but it's also happening on a campus that still carries the memory of the London 2021 attack and the legacy of a professor who spent years pushing racist science under the university's logo. That history doesn't disappear just because the school has a new strategic plan. Students feel it in small ways all the time, in classrooms, in silence, in who gets believed and who gets doubted. But here's where the anthropology comes in. Institutions aren't just buildings or policies, they're cultures. They have memories, blind spots, habits, and stories they tell about themselves. And those stories can be just as powerful as any policy. Ahmed basically says universities love to frame racism as an individual issue, a bad apple, a misunderstanding, instead of something baked into the system. The moment you connect that to anthropology, it makes perfect sense. Institutions protect themselves the same way people do, by avoiding shame, avoiding conflict, and keeping the same structures running. The linguistic racism content made this even clearer. When you police someone's voice, you're policing their belonging. And universities do this in subtle ways. Admissions essays that reward one kind of language, classrooms where certain accents get mocked behind people's backs, emails where professional tone usually means sound white. These aren't accidents. They're inherited rules from the same systems that shaped the census categories, standardized English, and the whole idea of who sounds educated. And outside the course, you see this everywhere. Look at AI voice filters that neutralize accents, or job applications that reject resumes for having ethnic names. Even social media algorithms boost certain voices and bury others. It all comes back to the same idea. Some people get treated as default, and everyone else has to adjust. What I've realized through this podcast is that anthropology isn't just studying culture, it's studying power. Race, language, identity, institutions, they all overlap. And when you finally start seeing those overlaps, university life looks different, not worse, just clearer. You realize that diversity isn't just a checkbox, it's a daily negotiation people are forced into. Some stay silent to survive, some speak up and get labeled difficult, and some only get heard after they leave and write a whole book about it. For me, this last week wasn't about learning something new. It was about recognizing what so many students already know, but rarely get the space to say. And maybe that's the biggest lesson. Universities love data, reports, committees, but the thing they need most is to actually listen to the people living the experience. Thanks for sticking with me through this whole series. This final episode wasn't polished or comfortable, but maybe that's the point. Anthropology doesn't always tell you what to think. It just makes it impossible to pretend you don't see the patterns anymore. See you in the next chapter, wherever that is.